Hello there, happy Halloween! We are back for our weekly Facebook Live right here in the One Step Outside group. I'm finding this pretty terrifying, so I will turn it off very soon. I actually went up into the attic to find some little animal ears to put on as a Halloween costume, but then I realised wonderful Facebook has this amazing Halloween digital feature. So there we go, I've gone for the Medusa look here. I'm loving the eye makeup. I have to practice that, I think, although maybe I look a little bit like a drag queen. But nonetheless, I will stick with it for a few more minutes and then I'll get back to my usual less made up face. But hello everybody, happy Halloween, happy end of October, if you can take me seriously while you're looking at me like this. My name is Anna Lundberg. I'm the person behind this One Step Outside group. I'm the founder of One Step Outside, where our mission really is to help you build a business and create a lifestyle that brings you more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. Now, we were doing the Business Idea Bootcamp a couple of weeks ago, so we had a very intensive, immersive period for a week, and that's why we didn't have a session last week. I gave you a bit of a break, but now we are back in business. We're doing a weekly Facebook Live every evening, not every evening, that would be too much, every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock UK time. Do say hello when you pop on. Don't be too terrified. I promise to turn this Medusa thing off in a second. I'm just trying to get into the spooky Halloween spirit, so bear with me and watch out for my tongue when it comes out. As I was saying, we're back into the weekly, I know, sorry Adam. I chose some of the others first, but they were even worse. They seemed quite innocuous. Have a go at them, and then actually when you open your mouth, it's absolutely horrifying. So don't try this at home. But I will turn it off in a second, I promise. Let's just enjoy it for the meantime. But good to see you, Adam. How are you doing? Any Halloween plans? I must admit, I don't have anything. I don't have children, so we're not getting dressed up or anything, and I'm too old and tired to go out and party. So I'm just staying at home playing around with my Facebook filters. But as I was saying, we're back into the weekly routine is what I'm trying to say for the Facebook Live, 8 o'clock UK time. Now, here in the UK, we are now back to GMT rather than BST. So if you're in the US, I know you're a little bit out of sync with us, but hopefully you will know that this week. And then next week, I believe we will be back to the normal time. So hopefully you can join us. And if not, then you can watch the replay as well. I am going to turn this off because it's terrifying me as well. Oh no, where do I do that? Here we go. Let's see if I can find it. No. Oh, sorry. It seemed a good idea at the time. Popular mask. Can I go back to like just a live video? I think that's it, no? Okay, there we go. My usual pale face. Although I do miss that beautiful eye makeup. But anyway, a few little housekeeping bits because I feel like I haven't been on here in a while. You nearly got egged by some kids. Oh my goodness. Yeah, good to stay at home. And when my parents moved to England, so 40 years ago from Sweden, they had no idea because Halloween wasn't really a thing. I mean, it really was more of an American thing, wasn't it? But it certainly wasn't something we knew about in Sweden. And some kids knocked on their door and they didn't really know what it was. And then actually they ended up sort of covering the door with lipstick and I think egging it as well. Bob, good to see you again. We're just discussing Halloween traditions here in England. We're talking about how old and boring we are and staying in tonight, but there you go, that's okay. And maybe we'll do something fun at the weekend, or maybe do some baking, I don't know, I haven't really thought about that, but anyway. But yes, some housekeeping. So there's a lot of stuff going on and coming up in the next few weeks and months. We are now almost into November, which means we've got 2 months left for this year. So don't worry, there's still a bit of time. So if you do have those dusty January goals and resolutions, maybe now is the time to pick them off the shelf, take a look at them and see if there's anything you can and still want to do before the year ends. And then, of course, we really want to set ourselves up for success for 2019. So let's not just ignore these last 2 months, but nonetheless, I think it's a great opportunity to already begin to think about what we might want to be doing next year as well. So with that in mind, Sophia actually posted the success audit. Now, I think this is more than familiar to a lot of you already. When you've joined the group recently, we've been pushing it out to you guys. We think it's a great way to get started with assessing where you are in different areas of your life. If you did it a long time ago, then, you know, I recommend that you check in now and then, certainly once a year, if not more often, to see where things have evolved and where you still need to focus more. And I'd love for you to take the time already to do that because it will set you in good stead ahead of all the things that are coming up, which are First of all, podcast, Reimagining Success. It's really waiting there to come out. I'm just trying to work out some of the technicalities with recording and editing and so on, but that will be coming soon, and that's going to be coming out every week. So it's just one more channel where I can reach you guys, where you can listen and hopefully engage with all these things that we're talking about. You can listen to it on your favourite podcast app. And it will be audio, of course, so it's really convenient. I mean, I'm obsessed with podcasts at the moment, so lots of opportunities obviously to listen on your commute. I listen now when I'm in the shower, going for a run or whatever it is, or doing the dishes. So hopefully that's going to be a really great piece of the puzzle for you when you're not able to join these lives as well. So that's the podcast. Now, another thing, if you were part of my community last Christmas, we actually did a webinar for Reimagining Success for 2018. And the good news, hopefully, is that we'll do that again this year. And there'll actually be 2 this year. So there'll be one on the Reimagining Success topic. That's where we're using the success audit, looking back on our goals and our vision for 2018, reviewing our progress, and then really setting ourselves up for success for the new year 2019. And secondly, the business one is going to be for those of you who are in here, I know are a little bit more advanced in terms of running your own business and making sure you're setting some clear goals for next year and ultimately getting what you want from your business. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing, of course, we've just wrapped up the latest launch for the group program. And in fact, both Bob and Adam are in the group program, so great to have you guys here. But actually now I know, again, a couple of you, or quite a few of you, actually more than a couple of you, said that you're a bit further along in the stages of business. And some of you said, of course, that you're not interested in launching a business at all, which is fine as well. So I am also opening up a couple of spots in my individual coaching in the coming weeks and months. So if that's something you'd like to discuss, then that really allows us to tailor the content and the sessions to where you are in your business or your life. I can really mentor you on the more advanced sales and marketing, and help you, of course, with that all elusive work-life balance, which so many of us long for and yet struggle with. But of course we can 100% tailor that to you. So if you've sort of been eyeing the program, and you felt it wasn't quite right for you, then obviously one-on-one coaching can be a great solution. So do ping me a private message and we can get on the phone and secure you one of those spots. But this week and today, what we wanted to talk about was how to balance a full-time job on the one hand with a side business on the other. And I think this is a popular topic, popular in the sense that it's something that a lot of us have to grapple with. And you can also fill in the blanks, of course, whether it's a full-time job and a side business, or it's several businesses, several part-time jobs, whatever it is. I think the principles are the same. And of course, I had the book launch, I was going to say last month, but it's still this month, just a few weeks ago, around leaving the corporate 9 to 5. And there was a whole chapter on people who just threw in the towel, took that leap of faith, and decided to go for it and, let the chips fall where they may. And I did that, in fact. I did have a lot of savings from my previous work, and I was also very lucky in that things kind of fell into place right away, although I then had to unpick those things and recreate afterwards. But that is a possibility. It means you have lots of time and energy to focus on working out what it is you want to do instead and get to work with actually implementing it. However, for a lot of us, that causes a bit too much risk, certainly if we're, unlike how I was 5 years ago, single, no mortgage, living in the ghetto in a cheap flat, I had no car, no obligations at all. If we have a family, a mortgage, a lifestyle built around this quite substantial salary, then, throwing in that towel and putting our entire family at risk in an unnecessarily precarious financial situation is a choice we could make. But it's a choice that most of us don't necessarily want to make, and it's certainly not a choice that we have to make. And that's why I think building this so-called side hustle alongside our full-time jobs is a great solution. Now, of course, the disadvantage is that we have a lot of work going on. We have that full-time job and we're trying to launch this new business. And of course, not to mention, again, we've got the kids, we've got the gym, we've got the hobbies and everything else. So that, of course, is the big challenge, and that's what I want to talk about this evening. And for those of you who are watching live, do jump in with your questions, comments, if you've struggled with this or are struggling with this, or likewise the opposite, if you have some great ideas to share with the group as well. I'd love for this to be an interactive session, otherwise you'll be bored out of your mind of me just talking at you. But I wanted to share, and obviously I've shared these in the blog post earlier this week and so on, but I wanted to share a few ideas from my side about how you can really balance the full-time business and the side business as well, full-time job and side business. And the first one is getting super clear on your why. And of course, I would also say that's around defining what success means to you, which is the big question I always start with. And the reason for that is that this is going to be hard work. I mean, you can hear it in the title. Having a full-time job plus launching a whole new business is going to be difficult. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a learning process. And ultimately, hopefully, it'll get you where you want to be. But it is also going to be difficult. So it's really important that you know you're doing this for the right reasons, or even you know the reasons why you're doing it. So why on earth do you want to launch a business? Is it just a crazy idea that you had one night down at the pub with your mates? Do you have some burning desire to change the world? Do you have a solution to a problem that you think is really going to make an impact? Are you thinking about, and I always talk about freedom, flexibility and fulfilment, creating that future for yourself, for your family and so on? What are the reasons, your personal reasons, why you want to start this business? And that is so important in general, of course, when we're setting up a new business, to make sure that we actually are building a business that will bring us what we want. But also, again, it's going to be hard work. So we want to make sure that the business we actually create is the business we want, first of all. And secondly, in order to succeed in making that business come to life, we need to be motivated and committed throughout these weeks, months, and even years. So if we're not clear on why we're doing it, it's very quickly just going to break down. And unfortunately, I several years ago, I had a former colleague who came to me and said I was the only one who had left the corporate life and stayed out, because a lot of people sort of tried an idea, didn't quite work, and oops, they went back into the corporate world. And that's a valid choice. But if that's not what you want to do, it's really important to take the time. And of course, Bob, Adam, we talk about this in the program, to really get clear on what that vision is. Big picture, personal life, but also big picture of what you want from the business. So that's the first one in terms of really getting clear on your why. And I'm just checking my notes because I was going to jump to number 3. Now, the second one is a little bit linked to that, which is to get your priorities straight. And here I'm going to a little bit sort of contradict myself almost. But the reality is, however excited you are about this new business, however passionate you are, however amazing this is, and however much you believe in it and how it's going to change your life and impact the world, the reality is when you're starting out, it's not bringing in any income. You're not sure if it's going to work. And so really your priority probably is going to need to be your existing work. So it's just important to get that clear in our heads. There may be one week when you have some crazy deadlines in the office, you have to work late, or your boss is in your back for something, there's a big presentation, whatever it is, you may have to unfortunately compromise and not work as much or at all on the new business. And you need to sort of come to terms with that being okay, because you know that you have this bigger picture in the future, but right now you do need to put food on the table. And so, showing up at work and doing that work does need to be a priority. Now, of course, it's up to you to set those boundaries and understand, do you actually have to work until midnight every night in order to maintain that salary? I'd say not, but only you know best in terms of your work. But that's just important to remember that is still your main income stream. And the other part of priorities is, again, if you have a family, your health and fitness, all these things. And again, Adam and I talk about this a lot in terms of the wellbeing strategy for your life. It's so fundamental to everything, to your business, to your career, to your family, to your happiness. And so if you're compromising that in order to work on your business, it's just not going to be sustainable. So again, probably in terms of ranking, taking care of your health, getting sleep, not getting up at 3 a.m, working until 1 a.m. That's not going to be a sustainable way to create a business. It's not a foundation on which you can build a sustainable business, and it's certainly not a business that you want to be running. Just going to see what Bob is saying here. I've been reading about millennials and the increase in freelance jobs in the US, 47% of, wow, that's amazing. So almost half of millennials are just freelancing. So it's a really interesting way to move from a full-time role into freelance portfolio career. But Bob, that's exactly it. And I'm not sure how far you've got in the book, but that's exactly my feeling as well from my own experience and what I've seen. So freelancing, I think, if nothing else, is a great way to transition from the full-time job into running your dream business, whatever that is, whether you know what that is or not. The reason being that you're ideally freelancing in an area that you know. So in my case, in digital marketing in particular industries, you're leveraging your existing network, your experience, your expertise, and freelancing is a very sort of, I don't want to make it sound too easy because of course you still need to get those clients and so on, but it doesn't require a massive investment and inventory. There aren't lots of moving pieces and stakeholders. It's literally just you You can go to an event or pick up the phone, set up a very simple website and say, hey, I'm freelancing, or write on LinkedIn or whatever. That's like a very low-hanging fruit in a way. So I don't know what you think about that, if that answers your question, but I 100% agree that freelancing can be, if nothing else, a gradual transition. The only important thing to remember there is, first of all, if it is just a transition, to remember and to keep your eye on the prize, to remember that big why of this is the business I actually want to build. So first of all, to set boundaries so that you have the time and energy while you're freelancing to work on that business. And then secondly, even within freelancing, and I talked about this back in June around National Freelancers Day, but there's this kind of negative stereotype of freelancing that it has to be this roller coaster ride, up and down, you're totally beholden to the clients and so on. And I disagree with that. I think it's not at all the way it has to be, but it does require some work in terms of pricing your packages or your services in the right way, targeting the right people, presenting your value and so on. So just to say that it's not necessarily just a super simple thing of just going, ta-da, I'm now freelancing, but certainly I agree it's a great way to take that step towards more freedom and flexibility, without letting go entirely of your previous experience and work and expertise before you actually and while you build the dream. Because the dream, I'm imagining, for most of us takes more time. It might be in a different area, it might be a new idea, it might be a product which will take a long time to develop, and it certainly takes time to build an audience, to engage people, to build credibility, and ultimately to get those sales. So, if that business is going to take a long time to get off the ground, either we need to stay in our full-time jobs, or yes, absolutely, freelancing can be a solution. So number 1 was identifying your why. Number 2 was getting clear on your priorities. And 3 and 4 I'll talk together, because 3 is getting clear on when you're going to work, and 4 is getting clear on when you're not going to work. And let me explain that a little bit. Again, we're going to have very limited time when we're trying to juggle a full-time job with a side business, or in this case, a freelancing career with a new business, family, friends, partners, children, etc., etc. And so we have very few hours when we're going to be working on the business. And that means we have to be super clear on, first of all, when those hours will be, and secondly, of course, what we're going to do in those hours too. But really sitting down, taking the time to look at our calendars and seeing realistically, based on our knowledge of ourselves, our self-awareness, am I a night owl? Am I an early bird who can get out of bed early in the morning? When do the kids wake up? Can I do it before, or do I have to wait until they're off at school? Do I have a long train or bus commute when I can do some work? Do I have a lunch break that I can take off and do some business stuff? All of this, of course, when you're doing, I'm just going to do the legal little parentheses, that when you're doing, work on your own business on office, company office territory, just be wary that you're, first of all, not doing anything that's, a conflict of interest, or not allowed in your contract, and of course not using company resources to work on your business. So it's one thing to sit in your lunch break with a notepad and pen and envision your business. It's another thing to use, the office software, or printers and all those things. So that's a bit of a tricky area. So be sensible, don't do anything that's potentially a conflict there, but again, finding those little slots of time. And I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, but there are different levels of work that you need to be doing, and some of it's strategic and thinking and mapping out and sitting down and creating your website, and that needs a bigger chunk of time, and that needs sitting down with a pen and paper or with your computer and the internet. Other things though, listening to a podcast, or watching this live even, or just kind of brainstorming or messaging people on LinkedIn, those are things that you can do on your commute, while you're on the toilet, on the bus, waiting for a lift, whatever it is. It's great to fit in those little things as and when you can. So try to be creative. Don't overdo it though, because as I always say, a little bit of consistent action is going to go so much further and get you much bigger results than do massive action and then nothing at all. So be realistic, start small, and you can always add more as you go. So that's planning when you're going to work. But now, again, in this context of reimagining success and balance and family and priorities and so on, I have to say that I want you to be super clear on when you're not going to work on the business. Now, the danger is, again, if you're single and you're by yourself, then this is all fine, although probably you still have friends and family in some form or another. And even for your own sanity, you need to set some boundaries. But certainly you want to be talking to your partner. If you have children, you want to get really clear on what are the rules. Doesn't sound too fun, but you know, whether it's a digital detox on Sundays, or not picking up the phone during dinner, or at your children's football or ballet or whatever it is, you know, discussing with your partner, not sitting, you know, maybe if you like getting up together in the morning, having breakfast, going to bed together, maybe try to work around that, and don't make it so that you're never seeing each other because your schedules are so different. So, you know, really thinking about when are you not going to be working on the business. I think that's really important. So Bob, you're saying that must be difficult to start. The temptation to take work just because you're asked. Oh, now this is a big one, Bob. Yes, absolutely. And I think, where to start on that one? So many thoughts. On the one hand, the strategic answer would be that if you really are clear on your vision of what you want, and if you want to build a sustainable business around really the principles of how you want to work and the money you want to earn and the clients you want to work with, then it's important to learn to say no. And you will find it'll take some practice and experience to believe this, but the truth is you will find that saying no to the wrong clients and projects will open up opportunities to the right ones. If you know, this is the type of client I want to work with, I don't want to work with that kind of client, and that's the one you're really focusing intentionally on, you're networking there, you're putting yourself out there, you're creating content and so on, that is going to happen for you. So that's the sort of strategic big picture answer. However, of course, when you're first starting out, first of all, you might not yet be clear on the vision. You might want to explore a little bit and see which types of clients you like, which ones are the ones that, you know, really resonate with you, which ones are the ones that will pay the most, which ones will, you know, allow you to work flexibly on your deadlines and so on. And that's an important phase too. So probably more realistically, more pragmatically at the beginning, we'll be saying yes to much more, simply because, as you say, we've got a bit of an ego. We're thrilled that somebody even wants to work with us and wants to pay us. And so it's very difficult then to say no. Now, I was just interviewing someone the other day, another Fearless Friday, so one of these stories as in the book of someone leaving the 9 to 5, and he was saying exactly this, which is what I experienced, that when you begin to freelance or consult or whatever it is, you start off with a few days, weeks, months, and they'll very quickly, assuming you're good at what you do, ask you to stay on for longer and or full time. That's when you have to be careful. That's when you really have to realise or remember, this is my vision. I did not, in my case, quit my job in order to do the same job for another company, right? For me, this was something to fill the gap, to get that money and security while I'm building this other thing. And that's incredibly important to remember. It is so hard, but you know, having your vision up, reminding yourself, working with a coach or a program, you know, and working on that bigger vision is really important. Obviously in the short term, again, if you need the money coming in, you may need to say yes to some clients and projects that you're not thrilled about, but that's okay as long as you recognise it's temporary and it's not the long term. So a bit of a complex answer there, but yes, absolutely the answer is it is tricky when you have that temptation, but if you want to keep moving forwards towards that bigger goal, then you do need to sort of hold on to that and learn to say no. So those were 3 and 4 in terms of planning when you're going to work and planning when you're not going to work. And then the final one is a great one, which I'm not so good at. It's be patient. Because the reality is, and you know, we were just talking here about potentially accepting some projects that aren't your dream projects and clients. The reality is it is going to take time. And it's going to take even longer when you're not able to dedicate yourself fully. So the reality is it's important to take that step back, be compassionate with yourself, recognise that, you know, sometimes other priorities will take precedent. Sometimes you will just be too tired. Sometimes you want to be with your partner or your children, or you want to just blare on the sofa and watch Bake Off. Unfortunately, Bake Off has finished now, but some other show. And you know, and that's okay. But just remembering, again, holding that vision of what you're working towards, knowing that it will come. So don't give up on it, knowing that it will come, but just that it's going to take a bit more time. Excuse me. So I don't know how you feel about that one, the last one. I know we're all impatient to get started. I certainly, you know, even though I'm sort of established and consolidated to some extent, I'm constantly, you know, raising the bar and coming up with new ideas and wanting to do new things. And it is so hard to hold myself back and think it will come, enjoy what's here now, be patient, you know, prioritise what's important, health, family, and the interesting work and so on, and then know that, you know, hopefully we're going to live long and healthy lives. The whole Ikigai idea was that we're going to live to 100 plus, so let's see if that happens, and we'll have plenty of time to reap the rewards of this. So, you know, enjoy every day in the meantime. Most of us don't hate our jobs at the moment. Even if we're doing horrible freelancing projects, there's always something about it we like. So whether it's your colleagues or your favourite boss or some, you know, exciting parties you get to go to or whatever it is, try to focus on the positive. Enjoy those bits because you might well miss them when you've left them. And in the meantime, know that you're working towards this bigger vision of what you want for your business and your life. So I'll just summarise those in the meantime, but those of you watching live, if you want to ask me any questions or make any comments before we wrap up, then do that now. That would be great. And of course, if you've been watching the replay, as ever, you can question and comment, and I'll come back to you tomorrow as well. So to summarise, how to balance your business with a full-time job with a side business. Get clear on your why. Get clear also on your different priorities. Plan when you're going to work. Plan when you're not going to work. And finally, be patient. Patience is a virtue. It's such a tricky one, but know that the results will come. You just have to take consistent action. Sometimes there are going to be ups, sometimes there are going to be downs. To be honest, that is the reality of a business. So it's just important to keep going, take a break when you need to take a break, and just pick yourself back up again the next day. So Adam, it's a long one. I was thinking about throwing the towel in and handing my notice this week after realising they want to be doing something active in health, fitness and wellbeing and meeting people. Interesting. So Adam got a pay rise today. Congratulations, maybe. It didn't excite me as much as I think it would, doing something that it was aligned with my values. I'm content that it's good for now, as I need stability to pay off some debt and will give me some time to figure out what I actually want to do. I'm thinking I'd even be prepared to take a part-time job and go back to uni if it means I get to do what I want to be doing. Adam, so many things there. Completely understand. It's so interesting that you say with the pay rise. A pay rise, I had someone the other day say a promotion. These things, ironically, can make us realise that this is not what I want to be doing. And, you know, as we were just saying with Bob, it can be tempting to sort of accept these things, but it's amazing that you've got to the point and have the self-awareness and understanding now that no, this is not what I want. But also, likewise, as you say, you're making the intentional choice and stating, I need this stability right now. So for now, even though it's not what I want, it's some, you know, valuable extra money that you're getting now. So try to sort of siphon that off. Don't increase your spend. Try to put that into savings towards your business, or, you know, as a buffer for later on. And you know that you're going to be, first of all, looking after your health, which is so foundational. And secondly, also potentially beginning, you know, a slightly different business or career in that health area. And your final point about taking a part-time job, you know, I think that's a really interesting one. Again, with the idea of portfolio or the sort of gradual transition of freelancing, that's a great one. We don't necessarily have to stay in our full-time work, right? We can actually take part-time, if possible, with that job, if we can take it down to 4 days, 3 days, sometimes not. If we can find some other work, then that's great. So happy to pick that up with you separately, Adam, maybe in a call. And I think some really interesting work going on there. But I think, you know, based on what you said, it sounds like you know that you're doing this for a reason. You also know it's not what you want to do going forwards, and you're absolutely taking the right steps to get to where you want to be. So congratulations on all the work that you've been doing, and I know that you'll get there as well. And each step we take, right, is a step closer. So we do have to be patient. Again, that's the final one, right? But you know, we will, with every step, get closer. And do also reflect, of course, on this year, how far you've come based on where you were before as well. So that's really important not to forget that we've come, you know, as the saying goes sometimes on those Instagram quotes, you know, last year we would have killed to be where we are today, right? And just we forget about that and we constantly raise the bar and think about the next thing. So thanks so much. Great to see you guys live here. Hope to see you again soon. Next week, by the way, we will be back 8 o'clock UK time in the group. And we'll be looking at how to not starve while working on your dream. So I think that's quite a nice sort of next step after this. This week we talked about time, which is a big barrier. And next week we'll talk about the money piece, which is again something we've already touched on today, but super critical. So how we can still earn money while we're working on our business. And of course that may entail staying in our full-time jobs. It may mean freelancing or taking a part-time job, and there may be some other ideas in there as well. So thanks so much for joining. Happy Halloween. Sorry for terrifying you all at the beginning with my Medusa head. I thought I'd try to go into the spirit. But hopefully you have a lovely evening now, what remains of it, in your country. And I can't wait to see you again very soon. Thanks so much for joining, guys, and talk to you soon. Bye.